All right, welcome to the final day of Ether raids for this light season. We are using man, this Wii thing is a really a YouTube thing. I'm using a new team. It's really what I want to say, but whatever. I kind of just set this up. I haven't tested it as much as I would have liked before, giving it a shot. But it has a ton of potential. Disclosure: the 7th slot unit here is going to be Tina. Well, actually, I think you would have seen it from the other screen, so yeah. But it's essentially, this team is an upgrade to the other team that I've been using so far this week. I decided to kind of just move some stuff around and try to see how I could optimize just a little bit, because there's still a lot of upgrades that could be done to this team to make it hit even harder. And this defense is probably the best opportunity that I'm going to get to test it out, or really the only one, since it's the last match of the week. So we have Hertzfelder here. No, what am I saying? Neathogger here, and it's going to be interesting to see who can actually take her out here. I don't really know. So I'm going to have to wait to get Tina, what am I saying? Fallen Maria, to just have the miracle support in the event that I do need that extra help. And benefit is that we have space to set up, because Sigurd won't move on turn 1. This isn't a dancer trap or a rally trap, which rally traps are getting really hard to construct these days, because everyone, I'm just echoing Tacho's statements from one of his most recent videos. Everyone is giving attack and speed buffs, plus something else. And then, or not everyone, but the most powerful nukes these days, or the best ones in the game, are giving some type of attack and speed buff. When you add them to your defense, you kind of don't want that, because there needs to be something for you to rally into. And then especially when you partner with Freyr, he already gives defense and res, so you're already that's like all stats up 6. So what exactly are you going to be able to rally, unless you're going to move someone out of the spot where they're not getting any of those buffs, but really want everyone to be covered by Freyr? So unless they're not getting the attack and speed, it makes it a lot more difficult to build defenses, especially Hector giving out the same buff that Freyr does is also a whole additional issue as well. It's such a headache building defenses these days, and I don't even know if there's well, to be fair, there isn't a consistent defense in the game currently. Everything can be beat. Well, I guess that doesn't really say much, because that's always been the case. When they say, when people say these days that defense is dead, they're not necessarily referring to the fact that everything is able to, you're always going to lose on defense. It's just so easy now at an entry level to get into, for a new player to be able to take out a defense team. It's just really easy for them to do so. What you're seeing here as well is Tina is not stealing the status effects because of the dosage, which is something that I'm sure that you all would have already been aware. But a couple of months ago, we would have had Gallop, we would have had whatever else it is that Asker's given out, plus the Bulwark effect, but we're getting nothing now, which is why I just decided to just swap Tina to offense. Also because she has the Magic Shield Plus, and she's my only healer with Glitter of Light. And that's the main thing that will pretty much make this team work. What I'm building around is the only thing that's better than Miracle is not needing Miracle altogether, which means you're just not getting hit. The only thing that makes all the other far saves better than Fjorm is the fact that they can KO on the counterattack. But Fjorm is still the only save with no counter disrupt. So that gives you an opening, and all you need to exploit that opening is Flash. And that's what Tina's Glitter of Light is going to offer me. I picked it up, I think, from Binding World. I'm not sure if she came with it or not. I think she comes with Holy Panic. I picked it up from not Hall of Forms. So yeah, plus Magic Shield, of course. So that's what I'm going to be doing. The only thing is I do need to pre-charge it, because I dropped her Tempo skill just to give her Resonance, just to see how it performs. But I think the Wrathful Tempo might actually be better
This is challenging.
because there's so much guard in the game, especially with Hector's terrain that has guard in it, I believe. Something about Hector has guard. Either the terrain or Hector himself has guard. And then just, the guard seal in general, there's a lot of ways to get guard on a unit. So the tempo is helpful for that. But then also, with this team, I can just pre-charge it because she gives herself the cooldown from the infantry pulse 4. And then with a swap, it's, good to go. So we're going to attack on turn 1 with Glitter Flight active. I could even swap out the infantry pulse for something else that gives, I don't know, stats or something. That's the thing that's also lacking from this team. It doesn't have as much attack power as the other team does because Maria doesn't come in until turn 3 as the bonus unit. So it is lacking attack power in that regards, which is easily fixable. As I said, I could also just give Tina a way to provide more support stat or attack stats. That's possible, but Maria is just better overall in terms of offensive support because she just gives more stats than Tina is ever going to be able to do. What Tina offers is buff stealing, and that's going to work into your favor more times than not, unless Neathauger, which I think she will be, becomes more popular on defense, which she currently is, but primarily right now I'm seeing a lot of Hectors, and interestingly enough, this does not work against Hector teams on turn 1. It probably does like thereafter, but Hector will always be able to get his stuff back because it's not the start of turn, it's the start of phase, which is so, like, it really shows that they put a lot of thought into building that Hector, and also just the counter plays around him potentially playing into Tina and stuff like that. And also the same goes for Asker as well, because I believe his stuff is also start of phase, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe, no, I haven't tested it yet. I need to check with Asker, Halloween. But yeah, it's really interesting. You don't get a lot of buffs on turn 1 with Tina anymore. So that's interesting in itself. And also, I gave Bernadetta the Lin Ring. Just from using the team so far this week, I've noticed that it works best on Bernadetta. It doesn't make any sense to put it on Rune because a lot of times, first off, he's infantry, which means he doesn't have the range to get to where I need him to get to. Second off, he typically dies to most armored units in one hit, which is a big disadvantage unless you're going to partner him with some form of desperation, which is good but then also not great. He just doesn't he hasn't been the best user of the Lin Ring so far. Bernadetta with her brave hits plus desperation, I think she is the best, excluding Bridget, who will come out in a couple of days from now. I think she'll be, because she has built-in Miracle. But for now, I still think, though, Bernadetta, because of the fact that she has the brave hits, the 4 hits, the quads, I think she's the best user of the Lin Ring currently in the game. I don't like it on Lucina. I think I was playing this SDR match, and I was like, I used it, but then there was also a situation a little bit later on in the turn, in another turn, where I actually wanted to use the dual button, and I was like, man, this is a huge drawback because I was looking for the ability to act again, which is what the dual button does. It refreshes Ninja Lucina, but I had swapped that out for the Lin Ring, and the Lin Ring was not active on that turn either. So I feel like it's better to have the dual button on your dual. Well, I guess it's situational and also specific to the dual unit in terms of whether their dual button is good or not. But for Lucina, I don't think you want to be running the Lin Ring on her if you have the choice of an additional nuke. Bernadetta is definitely the best. So here's Maria, Fallen Maria, and as you can see here, we're now getting the stats needed to take out Neathauger. This is not Miracle. The Miracle is not triggering. It's just basically 10 stats. It's 2 drives, and then Fallen Maria gives, I think, +4 to all stats during combat. So that's 10 stats plus Brave, plus 4 to all stats. you saw how the damage just skyrocketed. So we're just basically hitting Neathauger and we're taking her out now, which we were failing before. So that's very, very interesting. There's just so much potential with this team. I'm just thinking of new ideas, like with these units in particular. I really like Tina, but also I feel like I would prefer a flyer, just because I think Neathauger is going to become more common, which means like Tina's whole effect isn't really going to come into play. The whole point of this team is to be able to inflict flash so that I get safer initiations with Bernadetta or whoever it is that needs to initiate. Because, as I said, Null Counter Disrupt is only on Fjorm as a save. And it basically makes it like the match the other day that I was having so much trouble initiating with Golveg. That won't be a problem with this strategy, because once I hit the save, it's more than likely going to hit everyone within 2 spaces, which means that if Golveg needs to attack, she's going to basically have safer initiations. So you won't get hit on the counterattack, especially against someone like Felix. He won't be able to take her out anymore. Typically, what she needs to do is take him out in 1 hit, but that won't be a problem with Glitter of Light. This is also something that you could probably replicate with oh my god, Dagger unit just came out. What is her name? Layla. You can also replicate this with Layla, but I wanted to use Tina in specific just because Tina offers so much more support, and also she's just sitting in my barracks doing nothing. And I feel like it's a good option for the healers that you have that are just laying like dormant in your barracks. This is a good way to potentially use them to be of some type of use in AR, offense at least. Defense, it probably does work as well, but you have limited spaces for nukes there. But as you can see here, there's so many options in terms of how to initiate here that I don't even actually know what to do or which avenue to initiate from, because I could have easily just did the thing with Tina there, and then, you know, it wouldn't have mattered what I did. But the problem, I was not sure for this one. I wasn't sure if she would get stuck on that terrain in that spot because her cancel may not have triggered. But then I remembered, like, you see Bernadetta being able to get the cancel because of Rearmed Lucina. Man, this team is just so versatile. So basically what that means is that Tina would have also gotten the Kanto. I gave her the Sigurd ring, so I don't know if that would have played a part as well, because that's really what I wanted. I gave her the Sigurd ring so that she could have 3 movement, which is great for her specifically, but also for the Kanto, because you want to be able to move around after you do stuff. I forgot that Magic Shield. I forgot that Magic Shield inflicted gravity on the unit after she used it, so I don't know if I'm probably going to keep the Magic Shield. I think it's pretty cool, but really the reason that I like it is because of the extra action, which works really well with warping that I can get from Peony or Rune, which allows Maria to then move around more freely on the map if it is that I need her to potentially get another action or get another kill or snipe something or whatever the case may be. But that being said, I feel like also I need someone with Restore. I have Nudge currently on Follow Maria, but if I had Restore, then that's the way that I could cleanse all of the debuffs that I'm getting reflected back in me. Because what's happening in a lot of these matchups, or in this one in particular, because Micaiah is there, Rune basically at the start of turn, Rune is essentially a tactics room. No, not the tactics room. What do you call these? The calves? The schools. So he does, what is it? Attack, speed, res, -7, or is it all stats -7? At the start of turn, I forget which one. And basically once Micaiah is there, she's just going to reflect that back onto you. Is that what's happening? I forget. But essentially all of my units are always getting debuffs, and it's not the best thing when you're trying to initiate and you need those stats to help you out. And then when that is combined with Discord, you can see how it basically snowballs and pretty much neuters your attack, which means that it for the first attack, which is the one that you need to survive. In Golvig's case, it's really hard for her to initiate because she's losing out on so many stats. Lucina is able to get rid of the status effects because she has the swap. Bernadetta reflects all of those negative debuffs away. And also I have Verge of Death on her, which cleanses any penalties to her attack and speed at the start of turn. And also she, as you can, I was showing you that the gravity effect, which I didn't even realize that I could do that. She basically just reflected the gravity effect to everyone on the enemy team. So that's another thing that you can do. Man, Bernadetta is, I feel like she might be the, well, no, Felix is still a thing. Okay, so she's the second best unit from that banner. She is really, really good. Like, I am just constantly being impressed by just how well she can nuke things, how well she can perform. I don't see her falling off anytime soon, because you can always support a brave weapon with something like Sedith, who I was actually considering for that extra slot, but then mobility, how would I get him up there? Those were some of the things that were coming across my mind, and I ultimately ended up on Tina just because she has that nudge. She could nudge, then move again, or she could restore and then move again. The healer assists are really, really good. Magic Shield Plus is something that she also has, so that's also an option I could use, but I didn't want the gravity thing. The gravity thing is kind of annoying. So, I don't know, there's a lot of options that this team has. It is not complete by any means, and it also functions independently of Rune. So I can, well, no, actually, Rune needs to be there to activate the, Okay, so maybe I could swap out Tina for, like, let's say someone else is a bonus mythic. Maybe I could swap out Tina for that. Or maybe I can just use the other team. I think this one really needs Rune to be there, so that I can get Fallen Maria to be active, or to come out of the pop-up. But yeah, this team has a lot of potential in terms of, like, just interactions that can happen with the unit choices. And I want to really just shout out the healers for this, because low-key, there's a lot that you can do there with, like, debuffs or whatever the case may be with their B slot, because it's free at the moment. So I don't actually know what I'll develop this into, but for right now, I really, really like this team. I also gave up on the idea of giving Rune Wind Sweep. I did do it, but it didn't really affect his performance. Understandably, his attacking, tanked just, I want to say, by half. He did about half as much damage as he normally would. But the main problem that I was having with Rune wasn't necessarily attack. Well, I mean, of course he's dying to the counterattack, so the Wind Sweep would have solved that problem. Which is why Tina is here, so that she can do flash and then he can potentially attack instead. But really, the problem with Rune is that he's given out those debuffs, but I'm not quite sure what's reflecting those debuffs back at me, or if it's just Micaiah and her debuffs are just, spreading across. That could also be the case, because it's similar debuffs. So I'm not quite sure about that as of yet, but Rune really wants a way to cleanse his penalties. So I don't know if that means giving him a new A skill. The one from,
Don't be seen.
I want to say the one from what is that unit's name? Feet. Evil tiny baby girl. Feet. Veil. Fallen Veil. Yeah, I wanted to see if that would be an option to give him the crystalline water so that he could cleanse his penalties that way. But I don't know. I'm still testing a bunch of things, a bunch of stuff. It's been a great week. GG's. See you in the next.